Good evening, respected everyone and dear all honorable guests, including the chief guest for inauguration, the resource person of today's session, the entire team of Inspira Research Association, team of Sheila Raheja School of Business Management and Research, Mumbai, and majority of participants who have joined the program. I heartily welcome you all. First of all, I would like to invite Professor S.S. Modi, FDP MDP Chairperson and President, Inspira Research Association, former President, Indian Accounting Association and former Head, Department of ABST, University of Rajasthan, Jaipur, for the welcome speech on behalf of Inspira Research Association. Professor S.S. Modi.
Thank you, Dr. Ravikant, General Secretary, Inspira Research Association-IRA. Good afternoon, one and all. I welcome you all, particularly Professor Dr. Vijay Wagh, Director, and their team of Sheila Raheja School of Business Management and Research, SRBS, Mumbai, Maharashtra, for collaborating with Inspira Research Association, IRA, Jaipur, for jointly organizing the 7 days online FDP-MDP on research methodology, art of writing, research paper, and thesis being organized from July 11 to July 17, 2021. I heartily welcome today's chief guest and resource person for the today's session, a great academician and administrator, Professor Dr. Rana Singh, Vice Chancellor and CEO 3rd E, Sanskriti University, Mathura, and former Director, Institutional Effectiveness, Quality Assurance, University of Jazeera, Dubai, UAE, for inauguration of the FDP-MDP. I also welcome today's guests, all the resource persons of the FDP-MDP, Professor Rana Singh ji, Dr. Ajay Kumar Chauhan ji, Dr. Dhaval Mehta, Professor P. Malyadri, Dr. Meghna Chhabra, Professor Manvinder Singh, and all the participants from all over the country and abroad to join us for this mega academic event. Without them, such academic programs can't be successful. The Inspira Research Association, IRA, a leading registered organization of academicians, professionals, and researchers for research development and advancements, established in 2011. It is a non-profit organization dedicated to the promotion and development of research in the fields of management, commerce, economics, taxation, finance, computer science, humanities, social sciences, and applied sciences, etc. The association regularly publishes research journals, Inspira JMME, Journal of Modern Management and Entrepreneurship, Inspira JCECS, Journal of Commerce, Economics, and Computer Science, International Journal of Advanced Research in Commerce, Management, and Social Science, and International Journal of Education, Modern Management, Applied Science, and Social Science, and reference books with ISBN in the above areas and fields. All the journals with ISSN are quarterly double-blind peer-reviewed reference journals with high impact factors and indexed at various prestigious international organizations. Our main objective is to strengthen the boundaries of the journal, to strengthen the reviewer database, and to motivate potential authors to contribute to the journal. In parallel, we all should join hands in preventing plagiarism, duplicates articles, and unreliable research. We invite the authors to submit original articles which will help to achieve our goal of obtaining higher global impact factor for the journal to maintain the relevance of the journals in highly competitive field. In future, it intends to publish some more research journals, including international journals, reference books, and to organize national and international conferences, seminars, workshops, webinars, FDPs, MDPs, symposiums, and live sessions, etc. Faculty Development Program, FDP, is the main ingredient enhance professional education and competence, enriching the faculty vitality in key domains of teaching, assessing, research, professionalism, and administration is perceived to improve educational environment significantly and enhances the academic performance of learners. Similarly, Management Development Program MDP is a course designed to strengthen the relationship between managers at all levels, subordinate to executive management. This enables employees at a managerial level to gain the ability to motivate others, thereby allowing them to effectively manage their teams. So, it is very, very useful for management faculty and students also. I am happy to inform you that participation response to this FDP MDP is really very, very overwhelming from all parts of the country and abroad also. More than 150 participants have been registered to take part in this FDP MDP. IRA has also been providing several additional benefits such as publications in national and international peer-reviewed refereed journals with good impact factor, that is more than 6. IRA has organized several virtual programs in collaboration with renowned universities, PG colleges, government institutions during the last 1 year. In all the programs, including the present FDP MDP, I am happy to inform you that the resource persons in every program are very, very renowned academicians of their field from different parts of the country as well as abroad also. One special feature of IRA's virtual academic programs is that all the programs, including the present 7-day FDP MDP organized as yet, may be viewed from start to end at any time on INSPRA Research Association's YouTube channel by the participants. On today, session would be on essentials of research methodology and data collection for research paper and thesis writing. I hope you all would enrich and gain a lot from this virtual FDP MDP. Thank you.
Thank you, Professor S.S. Modi. Now, I would like to welcome Professor Dr. Vijay Wagh, FDP MDP Additional Chairperson, and Director Sheila Raheja, School of Business Management and Research, Mumbai, Maharashtra. Dr. Vijay Wagh is a pharmacist and has worked in the pharmaceutical industry for 9 years in a multinational company called Messrs. German Remedies as a marketing and sales executive. He joined teaching in 1995 at Swami Ramanand Tirth University as a lecturer. He cleared SET in 1995, following which he moved to College of Materials Management, Jabalpur, an institute run by the Indian Army, as a senior lecturer. He completed his PhD in 2001 at Rani Durgavati Vishwavidyalaya, Jabalpur. Since 2011, he has been working as a founding director at Sheila Raheja School of Business Management and Research, Mumbai. It's our privilege to invite Professor Dr. Vijay Wagh for delivering welcome speech on behalf of Sheila Raheja School of Business Management and Research, Mumbai, Maharashtra. Professor Vijay Wagh.
Good afternoon, everybody. So, Honorable Vice Chancellor Professor Rana Singh, Dr. Ravikant Modi, Dr. S.S. Modi, and Dr. Anil Mehta, and dear all participants, I'm very happy for our initiative and cooperation that is extended by INSPRA-IRA. It gives me immense pleasure to welcome you all in this faculty development program. I must appreciate Dr. Ravi Modi and Dr. S.S. Modi and Team SRBS for taking this initiative. The FDP will help a great deal to participants and especially to the participants who are beginner. Indeed, writing a research paper or an article or a thesis is a combination of art and science. Conducting research is a science. It is a scientific process and scientific activity. And writing a thesis or article is art which requires literary prowess. Uh, and therefore, this FDP program is very aptly titled as the art of writing research paper and thesis. I'm sure this program will help the participants in defining problem statement. It is my experience that as many students, they have done PhD with me and many students meet me for conducting for their PhD programs. They know the topic. They also know what to do, but they really do not know what is their problem statement. Sometimes they know the problem statement, but they cannot define it. So that's a big challenge, and that is where most researchers struggle. And this kind of FDP program helps them to overcome this difficulty. Definitely, this program will help in defining their problem statement, then research objectives, hypothesis statements. Another big thing that the students always face is collecting secondary data and literature review. How to do it? It is a very scientific activity. Then, of course, collecting primary data using statistical tools and data analysis will help. All these things should be helping this to the researchers and participants in this FDP. Developing scales and measurement scale and developing scale, that would also be help. Deciding the statistical tools to be used. Since you have a very learned speakers, I don't want to block your time. And I'm sure you will learn all this and all the process of conducting research and writing thesis and publishing the articles. And finally, I appreciate Team Inspira-IRA and SRBS team for organizing this FDP. All the best and wish you success. And I especially thank Team Inspira-IRA. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, Professor Vijayawad. Now I welcome our today's chief guest and resource person for the today's session, Professor Dr. Rana Singh. Professor Dr. Rana Singh is currently working as Vice Chancellor and CEO, 3rd E of Sanskriti University, Mathura, and has been Director, Institutional Effectiveness, University of Jazeera, Dubai, UAE. Dr. Singh is a techno-business professional having over 2 decades of experience in the domain of academics, research, training, quality assurance, accreditation, entrepreneurship, and consulting. Professor Singh is an MBA gold medalist with specialization in finance and a PhD in management. He also has chunky experience in setting up and promoting private university and technical institutions approved by national and international regulatory bodies on turnkey basis. Professor Rana Singh is also the co-founder of www.indiacsr.in, India's largest web portal in the domain of CSR, and has been pioneering excellence in the domain of CSR, including various aspects of planning, implementation, and control of CSR programs which focus on regulatory compliance. Dr. Singh has been giving advice to various governments and ministries in strategic planning, implementation, and control. Professor Rana Singh has been working in the domain of strategic planning, implementation, and control for various organizations, higher educational institutions, and government bodies. It is our privilege to invite Professor Dr. Rana Singh for delivering the inaugural address. Professor Dr. Rana Singh.
Thank you very much, Ravikant Modi ji. I take this opportunity to extend my heartfelt thanks to Inspira Research Association, IRA, and Sheila Raheja School of Business Management and Research to conceptualize the 7 days online FDP MDP on the topic Research Methodology, Art of Writing Research Paper and Thesis. It's indeed a matter of pleasure, privilege, honor, and delight to be part of such a wonderful, intellectually stimulating event, which is committed to the cause of promoting research and innovation, research and development, and allied aspects in higher education domain in the country. It's indeed very heartening to see the wonderful initiatives of Inspira Research Association under the dynamic and able leadership of Shri S.S. Modi ji and Ravikant Modi ji, who's always seen supported by Anil Mehta ji and a lot of other dynamic, young, and vibrant academicians. I call them young purposefully so that they still find long years to contribute to the field of academics and research. The focus of today's and these 7 days online FDP on essentials of research methodology and data collection for research papers and thesis writing. The major focus is to help the young generation to understand the importance of research methodology in structuring world-class research papers to be published in Scopus Index journals, in ADCB journals, as well as in some top-class Indian peer-reviewed journals. And some of these special high-quality research journals are also being published by Inspira Research Association. So the main objective is to inculcate the culture, the passion, and the spirit of conducting reliable and world-class research to be published in India and abroad in the leading journals and allied areas. Now, when we talk about research methodology, the first question comes in mind is, can we break it up into two parts? What is research? What is methodology? And when they both come together, we talk about research methodology. The agenda is to focus on conducting world-class research, and I'm repeating the word again and again, world-class research, is to make sure that Indian research findings gets special remarks and sets new benchmarks of excellence at national and international level by the academic fraternity wherever it gets published and wherever it gets cited. So when we talk about research, our erstwhile education minister had been emphasizing a lot about conducting research which has very high social impact and research which is relevant, which can contribute to our real life and can bring a difference in the life of people, can bring a difference in the overall effectiveness of the corporate sector, and can help people in leading a happy and successful life. So when we talk about better impact, more efficient lifestyle, better quality products and services, yes, they all are feasible, they all are possible by conducting research after having deep knowledge of research methodology and by applying them in conducting research in contemporary research problems so that we are focusing on finding optimum solution of our research problems in such a way that we can come out with better products, new ideas, new services, new facilities, new products, new equipments, new gadgets, and many new facilitating gadgets within our family, within our kitchen, at the place of agriculture, at the corporate world, and in the factories, so that our research findings are in a position to bring a significant impact in the life of people as well as in the life of corporate world. So I take this opportunity to thank the organizers and co-organizers, especially Sheila Raheja Institute of Business Management and Research from Bombay under the dynamic leadership of Dr. Vijay, who has been very explicit about his agenda and focus on research and how he has tied up with Inspira Research Association. So today and the next 7 days are going to be very lively and vibrant under a lot of dynamic researchers, academicians, and practitioners who are going to help the youngsters to understand the various nitty-gritties and finer aspects of research methodology so that they are able to prove themselves to be a better, productive, and more efficient research scholar, and it culminates into more productive research findings with higher social impact and can contribute research papers in high impact factor journals which get cited all across the world, bringing name and fame to the individual authors as well as to bring name and fame to their institutions and universities, and last but not the least can contribute towards making the Indian institutions and universities figure in the top 100, top 500 of QS rankings, Times Higher Education rankings, and other world rankings all across the world. So I once again thank one and all the esteemed panelists, my co-hosts, organizers, co-organizers, and all the eminent academicians with us, all the research scholars, students, and my delegates. I thank all of you to be part of this wonderful event, which will go a long way in the annals of history towards the strengthening the initiatives of Indian academicians under the dynamic leadership of our Education Minister and our Honorable Prime Minister Narendra Modi ji, who is willing and is committed to the cause of achieving excellence and to make and reposition India as a Vishwaguru once again, which gave the first university to the world in form of Nalanda University, which gave first civilization and was one of the front runners throughout the world in various domain areas, including the domain of academics, research, and allied areas. So with these words, I would close my opening remarks, and I once again thank all of you for being a part of this session. And now I would like to focus on my current topic for the day, essentials of research methodology and data collection for research paper and thesis writing. So I think with the permission of Junior Modi ji and Senior Modi ji, I would like to proceed ahead with my presentation.
Yes, sir. Sure, sir. Welcome, sir.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
So the main focus of today's presentation is two-pronged, is to talk about the various aspects of research methodology and how we as researchers and academicians can produce better quality research output. This is time for us to think. In the corona times, a doctor is thinking how many patients I'm seeing every day. What are the most common conditions prevalent? Which is the medicine I'm giving and how strongly it's impacting the health of the patient? How fast he's recovering? Which medicine is giving better impact? Why do some people have particular conditions whereas others do not have? And the whole world is currently facing the global pandemic of COVID-19. So these are some of the questions in the mind of the doctors. What are the current health needs of the community? What are the benefits of the program to the community? How can I demonstrate the effectiveness of my service as a doctor to the community? Why do some people use the service while others do not? Well, we have healthcare services available. Some people are using it, some people are not. Some people are going for vaccination, some people are not going for vaccination. So it's time for us to understand using research methodology. Why do some people think positive about the service while others, they think negative about the service? What is the satisfaction level of the patients with the services being offered by the doctors and the hospitals? How effective is the service? How can the service level, service quality be improved so that the people undergoing treatment feel happy, delighted, and their overall satisfaction and the improvement in health is on the higher side? So these are some questions which the doctors have in current situation. And I'm sure many of us as academicians and researchers in the domain of healthcare management and healthcare research and hospital management, we wish to get an answer to such questions. So let us see how research methodology will help us in getting an answer to the question. So the agenda of today's presentation is to know what is research, what is the process of conducting research, what are the various types of research, how do we formulate a particular research problem, how do we review the literature of the research which has already been conducted, then how to identify the variables and then collect data related to them after doing the other due diligence, how to construct hypothesis, null hypothesis and alternate hypothesis, Then it comes to us how to plan for the research design. Then what are the different methods of data collection? It's important for us to know what are the methods and which one to use, when to use, and so on and so forth. Then we'll talk about the validity and reliability of our instrument which we are going to administer. Then we talk about the sampling technique and the sample selection, how we are going to select the sample so that the research finding which we are going to achieve is likely to be applicable on the whole population. Last but not the least, is very important for us to write the research proposal in a decent way. There are a lot of research bodies in the country. We talk about ICSSR, we talk about IICA, we talk about AICT and UGC. A lot of these bodies are giving research funding. But this research funding comes to those research scholars who have deep knowledge about research methodology and are able to structure wonderful research proposal, convincing research proposal, and a research proposal which is likely to have significant impact. So what are the various aspects to be taken into consideration while writing a research proposal? That's very, very important. Then Universities Grants Commission has been very, very particular about the ethical issues in data collection and various ethical dimensions in the process of conducting research. And very recently, few months back, they had issued a letter, UGC had written a letter to all the universities and higher educational institutions to make sure that there is an additional course pertaining to ethics in all the PhD programs so that our research scholars are able to understand the various aspects of ethics and are able to implement the same in the process of conducting research. Then comes the important aspect of processing the data and displaying the data. And last but not the least, after we have collected the data, displayed the data after analysis, it's important for us to write our research report or write the thesis in a pleasant manner, presentable manner, with a strong readability dimension, so that anyone who is reading it gets the joy, the pleasure of reading and understanding the research findings in a very cool, calm, and comfortable manner. So that's very, very important. So this is just a brief agenda of the presentation which I'm going to make. So we'll talk about how the research experts have talked about what research is. So the first dimension is defining the problem. So we talk about defining the problem. We talk about defining the problem in terms of, now we need to understand that when we are defining the problem in correct manner, we are able to set the right direction. Now, I'll tell you, we need to understand some of the best practices. Now, when I'm speaking for a couple of hours, I keep drinking water multiple times so that I'm able to deliver in a better way. Now, when people are able to understand when they are conducting research, they need to understand that they should define the problem and redefine it if required. So throughout the process of research, they should be able to focus on, at the beginning, define the problem in a better way, and later on redefine the problem if required in case if the situation warrants, and then formulate hypothesis. We all know hypothesis is a statement which we normally use in the process of conducting research. And what really happens is that when we are conducting research, we are formulating hypothesis. Now, when we are conducting research, these hypotheses, especially null and alternate hypothesis, they play a very, very important role in defining the direction of the research. So it's important for us to understand how we are going to define the hypothesis, as well as how we are going to focus on collecting the data after ensuring what would be our sampling technique, how we are going to collect, organize, and evaluate the data. And then after evaluating the data, we make certain deductions and we reach the conclusions and we make the recommendations that, well, as an outcome of my sincere research, these are my recommendations to the academicians and to the researchers community, to the practitioners community. These are my findings, these are my conclusions, and these are my recommendations. So these recommendations go a long, long way in terms of enabling the students, the participants, the researchers, and the practitioners to a phenomenal extent, and also shapes the way for further research. So it's important for us to understand that we would be conducting the research after carefully testing the conclusions and determine whether they fit the formulating hypothesis or not. So let's understand what Advanced Learners Dictionary has said. It said it's a careful investigation or inquiry, especially through search for new facts in any branch of knowledge. So when you talk about any branch of knowledge, it may be management, it may be allied sciences, medicine, dentistry, archaeology, history, any segment. So any branch of knowledge, we may be in the process of searching for new facts after conducting a careful investigation. So it's important for us to have deep knowledge about research methodology for conducting a careful investigation or inquiry. Now, to conclude, it says research is original contribution to the existing stock of knowledge. Existing stock of knowledge, research helps in creation of new knowledge or addition to the existing knowledge. So it's very important for us to understand. So let me express my sincere advice to all the young researchers as well as those who are growing more matured researchers, that it's important for us to have very strong and deep-rooted knowledge about research methodology so that we are able to conduct world-class research and world-class publication. So we'll talk about this 8-step model wherein we'll talk about phase 1. We need to really decide what is that we are going to do research about. What is the research problem? And so maybe initially we choose a particular subject, a domain area. In that domain area, we choose a particular research problem, and then we plan the entire research study. We conceptualize the research design, how we are going to conduct it. And then we decide an instrument for data collection, maybe in form of a questionnaire or a survey, or we decide that we'll take secondary data and we'll do analysis. Then we talk about selecting a particular sample, which is more representative in nature. And then we write the initial research proposal. And when we talk about initial research proposal, it is primarily an intent to conduct the whole research about. Now, once we have prepared the research proposal, it's important for us to understand how we are going to conduct the research study, how are we going to collect the data, how we will process the data and display the data, and finally, how we will make the detailed write-up, the detailed research report. So it's important for us to understand. So these are the 8-step model which talks about how we are going to conduct the research. Now, in the process, we have to talk about who's going to do the research, where are we going to do the research, when will we do it, how are we going to do it, what is that we are going to find, and why are we going to find. So it's like 5W and 1H model. It's 5W and 1H model: who, where, when, what, and why, and how are we going to do it. So once we are having strong knowledge about research methodology, we are in a better position to conduct research in a professional manner, and our research output is, or it gets, national and international respect by researchers and practitioners together. So let's understand what are the various types of research from the viewpoint of application. So from the viewpoint of application, we talk about pure research and applied research. So pure research and applied research, the basic orientation is, if we are going to leverage the findings of the research in real world applications and are able to see some cause and effect relationship, and we're going to apply the research findings in real life, So we talk about the applied research dimension. Now, from the perspective of objectives, we divide it in form of descriptive research and exploratory research. So when we talk about descriptive research, well, we can easily conduct descriptive research using MS Excel and a lot of other spreadsheet softwares like SPSS, SAS, Systat, R, MATLAB, and many others. So descriptive research talks about finding the various central tendencies and measures of dispersion using a single command by selecting the data set, and we get the descriptive research. So it helps us in getting the central tendency of the data, measures of dispersion, and various risk-related dimensions. Whereas in case of exploratory data, we explore various contours of research dimensions and are able to find some extraordinary findings with our research approach so that we are able to leverage the research in multiple dimensions. Then we talk about correlational research and explanatory research. When we talk about correlational research, I'm sure it has its root coming from correlation, wherein there are correlation between, let's take an example of high level of rainfall and high productivity of grains from a particular farm. So there is correlation between rain and the yield of a particular farm. So we also do correlational research. We also conduct explanatory research, which sometimes helps us in establishing or rather explaining the cause and effect relationship of certain variables. When we talk about from the perspective of inquiry mode, we have two dimensions, quantitative research and qualitative research. In quantitative research, we deal with the data and collecting various kinds of primary and secondary data, and we analyze them by using various statistical tools and techniques. Whereas in case of qualitative research, we conduct research by taking qualitative feedback of individuals about quality of products and services, wherein the feedback is more subjective in nature and not quantitative in nature. So that's from the viewpoint of inquiry mode. So let us understand formulating a research problem. It's very, very important for us. Now, let us try and understand why this is very, very important, formulating a research problem. Because the direction of the entire research gets governed. If we are able to formulate the research in the right manner, we will be able to go in the right direction and accomplish the desired outcomes of the research to the level of our satisfaction and satisfaction of other stakeholders from the research community. So that's very, very important for us to understand. So now I'll ask, and my dear participants, they can answer in the chat box. Now, when we are trying to formulate a research problem, let us think about finding or formulating a research problem pertaining to effectiveness of vaccination and effectiveness of drug pertaining to COVID-19. Two aspects: effectiveness of vaccination and effectiveness of drugs being administered in the treatment process of COVID-19 or corona. So I'll request my dear participants to be slightly activating yourself, write some research problems quickly in the chat box, which I think I'll be able to see quickly with, yes, can you write it here quickly? Formulating a research problem. So two broad areas I'm talking about: effectiveness of vaccines and effectiveness of drugs. Quickly, can I see some messages quickly? Message दिख सकता है, Mr. Modi, Ravikant Modi ji? Can I see the messages? Yes.
Yes, sir.
Can we allow messaging to our participants?
Yeah, sir. They are typing. They are typing. You can see, sir. The chat box.
Okay, I think is visible.
Yeah, Poonam Mittal is writing impact on
Very good. Impact on women employment. Wonderful. Yes. Impact on women employment. Okay. Vaccinations improving the health conditions of citizens. Okay. Vaccination for women. Okay. It could be something on the lines of effect of vaccination on, or rather effectiveness of vaccine on women. Okay. Strategies and implementation of vaccination. Well, these are broad areas. Better performance of faculty. Yes, efficacy of vaccination on various age groups. Wonderful. Wonderful, Aarti Chopra madam. Excellent. Yes, execution of, oh, amazing. A study of effectiveness of vaccine in the age group of 18 to 44. Amazing. Nitin Pawar. This is something how we are able to formulate a better research problem. This is wonderful. A study of effectiveness of vaccine. So the more specific the research problem, the better the research output, better the quality of research output. Excellent. Effectiveness of vaccines of different variants. Okay, very good. Effectiveness of vaccination on diabetic people. Excellent. I think I've got a large variety of research problems today. I think I'm going to give it all to the PhD scholars. Effect of COVID-19 infection on vaccinated people. Okay. Vaccination, effect of vaccination on work effectiveness. Okay. One also can be an area of research in terms of impact of vaccination on the immediate health or sickness after vaccination. What is the overall impact on the health? Fine. Thank you very much. My agenda was to check if some of them are absolutely awake and fully charged. So thank you. I got the answer. Now we'll carry on with my presentation. It's important in the online presentation, it's important to know your audience is awake and is fully charged. So thank you very much for all of you for giving such wonderful answers. So it's important for us to understand the review of literature plays a very, very important role. So reviewing the literature is the first step. Whenever after we have, in the previous, we talked about formulating a research problem. Immediately we talk about reviewing the literature. So when we talk about reviewing the literature, it's important for us to understand that yes, we are able to first of all find out what is the research which has already been conducted in the yesteryears and how we can take the research findings further. Now, we need to bring a clarity and focus to our research problem, because the more clear we are in terms of our focus and clarity of our research problem, the better would be the quality of research and the research outcomes. So it will be an important agenda for us to broaden our knowledge base in our research area. Now, we will be enabling us to contextualize our findings. Now, knowing how to do literature survey is very, very important. And I would now tell today, I'm sure many of us might have been already using, but I would still like to reiterate, Google Advanced Search helps us a lot in conducting the literature review. So it's very simple. It's google.com/advanced_search. I repeat, google.com/advanced_search. And mind it, it is advanced. There is a D after advanced _search. So it helps us in conducting very positive literature review. If we want to know what is the impact of COVID in Indonesia, in Google Advanced Search, we can identify the country and we can get results specific to a particular country itself. So it saves our time and energy by avoiding the unwanted search findings on Google. So I'm sure all of you also know that we can go to various other journals of our choice from various publications. We have Elsevier's, we have Scopus Index journals, We have lot many other journals listed in various index databases wherein we can go and find out what are the various research findings already that have been done. And then we have to focus on conducting initially our theoretical framework about which we are going to do the research, and then our conceptual framework about our research problem. And then we have to write the literature which we have reviewed. That fine, particular author in his research finding in the year, let's say 2018, in his seminar.
Hello, is the screen? Have you shared some presentation?
Yeah, it's already shared.
No, actually, it's not visible.
Okay, I think I'll redo
No
it.
problem. Yeah, please.
Okay, I think I had changed the. Okay, fine. Well, I was looking at
No
the
problem.
messages. Yes,
Yeah.
thanks. Is it
Quite
visible now?
difficult. Yeah, yes.
Okay. So last but not the least, we need to focus on writing about our literature review. So when we write about the literature review, we have to be very focused in terms of mentioning that, okay, what has been the research findings by different research scholars in the respective years. And that helps us a lot in terms of understanding and giving an understanding to the readers and the people who are perusing the research paper in terms of that, okay, these are the research findings which have already been done, and this is what is likely to be done by the researcher. So formulating a research problem, we need to define the research problem in a crisp manner, easy to understand, simple to write, easy to understand, and very, very focused, pinpointed in crisp words. And as little words are spent, the better it is. So it's very important for us to understand the importance of formulating the research problem. If we know how to formulate the research problem, it's like well begun is half done. Now we need to understand the sources of research problems. What is the genesis? And what are the various considerations which we have to take in the process of selecting a research problem? And then we have to know what are the various steps in formulating a research problem. Then we have to formulate the research objectives. So the header, the title, followed by the research objectives, and then we need to know what's going to be the study population. Well, fine, we need to define, okay, impact of corona vaccination in the state of Rajasthan with a specific reference to Jaipur district. So if we are specific in our research formulation and research definition process, we are able to conduct better research and we are able to do justice to the process of conducting research. Then formulating a research problem in qualitative research. Well, the basic difference in qualitative research that there we get the responses in form of qualitative dimensions. Says, how was the quality of food? Good, very good, amazing. So all the responses are in qualitative format. So the research problem definition is slightly different in case of qualitative research, in sharp contrast to the research problems defined in quantitative research. So let us understand now what is variable. Any data point which varies. Now let's talk about the height of the students. So the height of students varies. It's between, let's say, 5 feet to 6 feet, or let's say 4 feet to 6 feet. The weight of the students may vary. In post-corona scenario, the students, their weight in pre-corona times might be different than post-corona times. Maybe they have gained more weight while staying at home. Then we have to convert our concepts into variables. We need to understand the various types of variables from the viewpoint of causal relationship, from the viewpoint of the study design which we are going to conduct, from the unit of measurement, whether we are measuring in terms of kg or meters or kilometers, or various types of measurement scale, or nominal or classificatory scale. Sometimes we are doing ranking of the variables. So it's a ranking scale, or at times we do them in form of an interval scale. Maybe students in the range of 45 kg to 50 kg, 50 to 55, 55 to 60, and so on. or in terms of the ratio scale. So we need to understand that what are the various variables, we identify them, and then we need to know how are we going to collect the data. And once we have collected the data, probably we need to know how we are going to process the data, analyze the data to get meaningful results and meaningful findings. Now, after all this, we need to be defining our hypothesis. So it's like we define two types of hypothesis, null or alternate hypothesis. Now, when we are defining a statement, the statement can be such: the vaccine is effective for the females in the age bracket of 18 to 44, and we collect the data of impact of vaccination on females between 18 to 44. So it's important for us to define the hypothesis in proper manner, and we need to know what are the functions of a hypothesis. Well, the function is to help us conduct a meaningful research so that we are able to prove or disprove a particular research statement. And if we are able to prove or disprove, we are able to contribute to the world of knowledge. So the characteristic of hypothesis, we need to understand that we should again be very, very crisp, clear, to the point, well-defined, well-chosen words, specific, measurable, achievable, rational, and time-bound. So the hypothesis should be smart in nature, and we need to know what are the various errors of testing a hypothesis. And last but not the least, I would like to remind all my fellow researchers that the hypothesis in qualitative research is slightly different, in sharp contrast to the hypothesis in quantitative research. So let's understand this point blank very clearly. So now we talk about conceptualizing a research design. So when you talk about conceptualizing a research design, it's important for us, especially for those of us who are conducting research for publication in papers in national and international journals, or we're conducting research as a part of our PhD thesis or postdoctoral research work. So it's important for us to understand that we are going to conceptualize a research design in a professional manner so that we are able to conduct the research flawlessly and we are able to achieve the envisioned goals and outcomes of our research process. So we need to understand, what is research design all about? What are the various factors which we take into consideration while we are planning our research design? Now, it's important for understanding that we need to understand what would be our nature of research. What would be our nature of research? What would be our target population? What would be the sample size? What would be our sampling technique? And all other aspects pertaining to research. Now, the function of research design is to act as an engine. Research design acts as an engine. Acts in the same way the engine acts in the process of an automobile. So it helps us in terms of understanding finding the relationship and the direction or the cause and effect relationship between the variables, both in case of the quantitative and qualitative study designs. Now, the study designs in case of quantitative research is definitely slightly different than those in case of the qualitative research. And we also need to understand that what is going to be the total number of contacts, what will be the reference period, and what will be the nature of the investigation, so that all these factors play a very, very important role in defining the research design and the selection of the research design. So when we are talking about the design pertaining to quantitative research, well, we study about the crossover comparative experimental design. We talk about the replicated cross-sectional design. We study the trend studies, cohort studies, panel studies, blind studies, double-blind studies. So these are various types. Now, the more we understand the focused dimensions of each one of them, we would like to understand, in my research problem, am I going to study the trend? Suppose I'm a finance guy. I want to understand whether the equity shares which I have bought. Now, suppose I bought Reliance Industries Limited. So I want to see the trend of Reliance, the trend of share prices of Reliance Industries Limited. Has it moved in tandem with the sensitivity index, Sensex, or my share has outperformed the Sensex, or it has been an underperformer in comparison to the Sensex? So I need to understand that I'll have to work on a trend studies. So it's important for us to understand what are the various types of research design so that we are able to use them appropriately in the well-defined research problem at our disposal and our discretion. Now, we talk about the qualitative research. What are the various study designs which we take? Now, case study. Case study is an important mode of conducting qualitative research and has been pioneered a lot by Harvard Business Review, which has pioneered the case study method in its classes of business management. Then comes oral history. We take oral history from the respondents, or we have focus group interviews pertaining to the quality of particular products or services, or we focus at the participant observation. We observe how the participant responds after eating a particular dish. So after eating a particular dish, if he says, wow, very tasty, so that gives a good idea about, well, he or she has liked the taste of the dish which has been offered by the hotel or the restaurant. So then there are certain community discussion forums wherein we leave discussion forums open to the people so they keep writing. Now, I asked about a research problem and people started writing about the various types of research problem which we can conduct a research on. Then we also talk about reflective journal, and we also talk about action research, feminist research. Then these are some other modes of conducting study design in qualitative research. We can go deep into it once we are conducting it. So the major agenda for us is to understand that the study design in quantitative research is different vis-a-vis the research design in case of qualitative research. So I hope my fellow colleagues are able to understand the focus dimension of the choice of study design in case of qualitative research and quantitative research. They are going to be different according to the nature of the research problem, according to the population, number of contact points, and so on and so forth. Now, it's very important for us to construct an instrument for data collection. So we need to understand whether we are going to collect primary data or secondary data. So if we are going to have the collection of primary data, we need to construct an instrument. And this instrument is in form of questionnaire or survey. And these days, there's been a growing culture of conducting online surveys using Qualtrics, Monkey Survey, Google Forms, and a host of other applications, online survey applications. So for data collection, we can use the primary sources, maybe by observation of the customers, the clients, the stakeholders, the students community in our campus, and so on. Sometimes I believe in looking at the faces of the students, how they are responding to a particular teacher at the time of academic delivery, rather than taking the feedback form at the end of the semester. When I see my students are attentive in the class, we implemented more than 1,500 CCTV cameras in our campus, and I can have a view of what's going on in every class. So I can see how interactive the class is, what is the facial expression of the students when the class is going on, how they are responding to the questions of the teacher, how they are responding to the academic delivery, and so on. And I can, by mere observation, I can see what has been the overall engagement and effectiveness of the teaching, learning, and assessment process inside the class. So at times we are also using the interview process or the questionnaire process for collecting the data. And it's important for, while we are conducting some primary research, it's important to avoid asking some personal questions. And some personal questions are also to be very, very carefully chosen. Now, especially when the youngsters going for population survey, they are asking the people, are you married? And the person says, no, I'm not married. And then the next question is, assuming that he's married, how many kids he does have? So one has to be very selective while asking those personal questions. If the respondent has answered, no, he or she is unmarried, probably we need to skip the next question, which says, how many kids do you have, at least in Indian context. Unlike in Europe, they have kids without marriage as well. So there that research can go on. But at least in Indian context, we need to be culturally sensitive, and we need to structure our questionnaire in such a way that we are not in a position to face some unforeseen situation in the process of administering the questionnaire. So that's important for us to understand. Now, then we talk about pre-testing a research instrument. So we talk about pre-testing. Now, when we are doing pre-testing, we need to understand sometimes the respondents feel very awkward in terms of giving answer to a particular question. So we might think of avoiding those questions if the questions are too personal in nature and a lot of people are not responding to it at all and are becoming uncomfortable at the time of asking those questions. We can redo the questionnaire after the initial findings of the pre-testing of a research instrument. Now, we also administer a test. We call it as Cronbach's alpha. Cronbach alpha is a test which helps the researchers in testing the validity and reliability of the questionnaire. So if the value of Cronbach's alpha is above 0.5 and is close to 1, we assume it to be reasonably better performing questionnaire. So it's important for us as researchers to understand how we are going to do the pre-testing of a research instrument, conduct tests like Cronbach alpha, and we are satisfied with ourselves. No, this research instrument is going to be a good research instrument and will help us in conducting the research in a better way and efficient manner. Now, there are certain prerequisites for data collection. We need to make sure that we have to focus on data privacy, and we have to make sure that the respondents do not become uncomfortable. We do not violate in their privacy. We do not disturb them at odd timings. And we also try and avoid their inconvenience in their personal and professional assignments and engagements. So these are some of the prerequisites for data collection. More so, we need to understand the process of data collection should be such that the data gets automatically tabulated so that the data analysis becomes easier. Constructing a research instrument in qualitative research. Well, we all know that in qualitative research, we get qualitative feedback. How was the session? Oh, the session was boring. How was the session? The session was interesting. How was the overall event? Well, the event was good, but the lunch and dinner was really memorable or amazing. So we get qualitative feedback of the respondents about a particular event, about a particular session, about a particular product or service. So we need to have a different kind of research instrument in qualitative research. Sometimes we have to collect data from the secondary sources, and sometimes we have certain problems pertaining to data collection from secondary sources. So we need to be very particular about them. Now, we need to measure the attitude. Measurement of attitude in quantitative and qualitative research is very, very important. So then we understand the various functions of attitudinal scale. What are the difficulties in developing an attitudinal scale? What are the various types? And we have various scales, maybe the Likert scale from 1 to 5. We ask the respondents' feedback. Okay. Suppose about the session, we ask from the respondents, please rate the communication ability of the participant or the keynote speaker on a 1 to 5. If 1 is very bad and 5 is excellent. So we ask them to rate on a 1 to 5 Likert's rating scale. So similarly, equal appearing interval, especially which is there in case of Thurston scale. So we ask the respondents to rate their overall response in form of a scale varying from 1 to 5 or different types. So the attitudes and qualitative research, sometimes we have the qualitative feedback. Well, what was the taste of the food? Horrible. Good. very good, excellent, very tasty. So it depends on what has been the overall response of the customers. So now we have to focus on establishing the validity and reliability of the research instrument. Suppose we have taken a particular questionnaire. So we need to understand that yes, the questionnaire which we are going to administer, it's going to have the required face and content validity. So we draft it in such a way that the respondents are able to understand the same manner, in the same manner as envisioned by the research scholar. Now we also talk about the concurrent and predictive validity of the questionnaire, the construct validity, the concept of reliability of the questionnaire. So when we go deep into the various aspects of reliability and validity, we are able to understand. Now, we also need to understand what are the various factors which impact the reliability of a particular research instrument. And we focus on them and we take care of those aspects. And in the process of pre-testing a particular questionnaire, we get a fair understanding of how the questionnaire or the survey is being responded by the clients or by the customers or the respondents. So there are certain internal consistency and external consistency procedures which help us in overall ascertaining the validity and reliability in qualitative research. One small example I'll talk about: if the value of Cronbach's alpha is less than 0.5 and is close to 0, let's say 0.3, 0.4, we need to really rework on the overall quality and reliability of the research instrument which we are going to use. So it's important for us to focus on conducting a pre-test of the questionnaire before we are going for the actual run of the whole questionnaire. Now, it's important for us to select a particular sample, and we need to know that sample is one particular small unit of the overall population, which is considered to be representative of the whole population. So it's like a class of 60 students. I pick 6 students out of them and we conduct a particular research on them, assuming them to be a sample of the whole, sample representation of the whole class. So sampling in quantitative research is very, very important. And let me give you one simple example so that we are able to establish why we need to do sampling. Let us take example of a gun factory. In a gun factory, if we want to know what has been the quality of the bullets, well, from a batch of, let's say, 100 bullets, every time we use, let's say, 2 bullets or 5 bullets so that we see the quality of the bullets is really good. We cannot use all of them for our research. Then what will happen? The entire bullets will get used in the process of research, which has no meaning per se. So we need to define a particular level of sampling, which we are going to do in the process of quantitative research. We need to understand what are the various types of sampling, whether we are going for probabilistic sampling or non-probabilistic sampling. Probabilistic sampling is those sampling in which we understand the probability of each sample to come. Suppose there are 10 balls in a particular bag. There are 10 balls in a particular bag, and we are taking out one bag out of it. So the probability of any ball coming out is 1 by 10. So then we have probabilistic sampling, non-probabilistic sampling. Then sometimes we divide it into clusters and so on and so forth. So sometimes it can be a mixed. We can define multiple clusters and then we can have probabilistic sampling. So that can be a mixed design. So it's highly recommended for all the young and budding researchers to read more and more about the research design and sampling techniques and the sample size so that we are able to adopt the right amount of, right quantity of sample and sampling procedure, sampling technique, so that we get the right output of the research findings. So sampling in quantitative research, we need to understand the sampling terminology, which sample words which we are using, what are the various principles of sampling, and what are the various factors which affect the inferences drawn from a particular sample. Aims in selecting a sample, what are the various types of sampling, non-random, non-probability sampling design, and so on. Or sometimes we can take for a mixed design, both in terms of cluster and probabilistic sampling? Now, this is a $1,000,000 question in front of us. I take this opportunity to once again thank Inspira Research Association, because today's session and the sessions in the next 7 days may help some of the participants to become a better and more effective proposal writer, which can help them in getting grants from various funding bodies like Ministry of Science and Technology, DST, CSIR, ICSSR, AICTE, UGC, and other grant funding bodies from India and abroad. So it's important for us to understand the various aspects of writing a research proposal. What are the various factors which we need to take into consideration in the process of writing a research paper, and ultimately how we are in a position to write a winning research proposal. When I say winning research proposal, there are 100 research proposals coming and one gets selected, or two get selected, or three get selected. So writing or understanding and learning the art of writing winning research proposal is something which is very, very important. I would like to conduct a small survey with my participants, and it is with a two-pronged approach. One, to know about their research proposal writing orientation, and second, to check how many are still awake in the online teaching learning process. So, a small question: how many of our research participants have written a research proposal and submitted to one of the research funding bodies, especially ICSSR or DST or any of the allied bodies? Yes, can we see this? Yes, can I get the responses quickly? Can I see the messages coming? Yes. Yes. Perfect. I'm not able to see the chat. Yes, I think I'll be able to see the chat now. Yes. No information from ICSSR. No, sir. No, sir. Okay. Okay. No CBSC. No, no, no. No information from ICSSR. No, not yet. Wow. So I'm happy to see so many no's. So now after today's session, most of the answers are in form of no. So it's a great opportunity for all of us to learn about the various research proposal opportunities to write research proposal and to submit to ICSSR, to UGC, to AICTE, to IICA, and various other bodies. So fine, thank you. So this research helps us in terms of knowing that yes, my participants are still awake and they are listening to it sincerely. So thank you very much, all of you, for being awake and listening with such high degree of patience. So writing a research proposal, now writing a winning research proposal, that should be the passion, the spirit, and the commitment for all of us who are participating today. And I promise to each one of you, the day you decide that you are going to write a winning research proposal, you have won half the battle. And the next half of the battle is won by understanding the process, trying first time, second time, third time, fourth time, and gradually you become the winner. So the first passion has to be there, that I will write a winning research proposal. Okay, so that's something. So we still have some. Submitted to University of Mumbai. Great. Submitted to University Umang Agarwal. Great. Pradeep Singh writes, yes, I submitted to research proposal in CSR, but they didn't get selected. Wonderful. Well, sometimes it is also, there are many good quality submissions, but due to resource constraints, they do not get selected. So research proposal not getting selected does not mean it is of poor quality. Sometimes there are 500 proposals submitted, there are 50 very good of them, but there are only 10 to be selected. So there are certain other parameters which they choose. Okay, so I think that's something which is Nice. Now we'll start again. Okay. Is the slide visible?
No, sir. It was visible previously, but
It was visible previously. Thank you. It will be visible again. I'll show you the magic now. Yes, the magic is there.
yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Perfect. So when we are writing winning research proposals, let us understand the content of the research proposal or thesis should be to the point, crisp, understandable, and very, very focused. And it should be smart, specific, measurable, achievable, reasonable, and time bound. Now, there should be very strong introduction so that the person understands, wow, this is a wonderful topic. And I think it's going to be really, very, very, heartening to go about understanding this. The problem objectives, the hypothesis, which is going to be tested, the study design, the setting measurement procedures, the ethical issues which will be taken into consideration in the process of conducting the research, the sampling analysis of data, how we are going to conduct, what will be our sampling technique from which population and so on. Then very important is to understand the structure of the report. The structure of the report, it's very, very important for all my brilliant researchers. Today, I'll show you the beauty of writing a research paper. I mean, both in form of thesis as well as research paper, and how to create an automated index. So I'll just take a small Word file. Let me try if I'm able to show it to all of you. I'll stop sharing this and I'll show you on a Word file as to how to do it. Just a moment, please. I'll open a Word file. Okay, just a moment. Here. Okay. I'll share a Word file. Here is a blank Word file today. Is a blank Word file visible to all of you?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Perfect. So I'll just write here research report. Now here research report. Okay, and I'll just go to the next page. I will tell the process how to write the whole research document, maybe 20, 30, 40, 50 pages research report, and how to have an automated index so that at the end of the day you submit and the entire indexing happens automatically. So I start from here. I clicked on the home button and I clicked here on heading 1. I'm sure it's visible to all of you. Yes, thank you. Some of you said yes. So this is heading 1. I wrote the first one that says introduction. Introduction. Okay, now I do this. After introduction, I write, and I write importance of the study. Importance of the study. Here I write abstract. Okay, so I keep on writing all of them, importance of the study. Then I write literature review. Literature review. Then I talk about, after literature review, we also write about research design. sampling technique. Okay. Then I use the word statistical analysis. Okay, so this is something which I have prepared. I just wrote the broad headers. Now I go to this page. I insert another page break. In this page, I want to insert the index. I want to insert the index. And here, I go to review. I go to review. This is view, review, and we go to references. We go to references and we insert table of contents. We insert table of contents and we click here automatic table. And you can see the automatic table of contents is already here. Can you see, all of you? Automatic content is here. So when we keep on writing our whole research paper, automated content comes here. So it's very important for us to write our research paper in a professional way. And later on, all that we need to do is, let us see, currently all the page numbers are on page number 4. Now, when we go inside while we are writing this, okay, suppose we are writing this, we have written the content. Now, this is the content we have written inside. Now, after writing the content, the page numbers change. Now, when the page numbers change, we once again go to this, and you can see now we need to really update the page numbers here. And how to do updating the page number? We just go to update table, click on update table, update the entire table, and all the page numbers get updated. You see all the page numbers, they got updated. So this is how we are going to, when we are writing the final research project, research paper, final thesis, we should be in a position to use automated content indexing method so that we are able to automatically present all the page numbering mechanism so that our index tells everything. I hope this is clear to everyone. Okay, so now I'll shut it down now. And now we'll come back to our PowerPoint presentation. Yes, this was the PowerPoint presentation. And we will. So when we are writing the thesis, it's important for us that in the Word file, we create an automated index so that all the page numbers get automatically indexed after we are done with writing the whole thesis. It's important to focus on incorporating all the aspects, the study design, the various statistical tools and techniques which we have used, the data collection mechanism, the survey, the questionnaire, the ethical dimensions, the sampling analysis of data, the structure of the report. So this is in the initial stage, we just write, this is how my research is likely to proceed. But in the final stage, we have to make sure that we prepare our research project in the same way, the way we have presented in the initial stages. Now we talk about collecting the data. It's important for us to understand how we are going to collect the data. And we have a lot of new generation tools and techniques pertaining to online survey forms, online questionnaires, which get many of us are using in form of Google Forms, SurveyMonkey, Qualtrics, and many others. So it's important for us to understand how we are going to collect the data from the respondents in such a way that we get meaningful data and we get simplified data. Now, this is something which is important for us to understand. When we are collecting data, we need to be ethical. There are some people who do the window dressing of the data, and the data is presented in such a way that sometimes a brilliant researcher will understand, look, this data cannot be so perfect. So there has been window dressing done. So sometimes we have to be very, very honest in terms of telling, fine, out of 500 respondents, almost 20 respondents did not bother to answer this question. It cannot happen all 500 respondents respond to all 500 questions unless we make it mandatory for all of them to answer. But in some cases, yes. So we need to be ethical. We need to take into consideration the importance of the stakeholders while conducting the research. All the ethical issues are to be taken into consideration when we are collecting sensitive information, personal information, or rather there's a term called PSI, personally sensitive information. We need to understand that we have to secure the data of the respondent in such a way that the same does not get misused. Sometimes we need to provide incentives to the respondents, and sometimes it's also there is a possibility of causing harm to participants. So we need to be very, very careful in terms of how we are collecting the data, and we need to maintain the confidentiality of the data given by the respondent. And sometimes ethical issues to consider while relating to the researcher. There are certain intuitive biases happening, or there's a deprivation of treatment likely to happen. Sometimes we are using inappropriate research methodology. So we need to be very, very sure that we are going to use only appropriate research methodology for collecting the data. And sometimes we have to do proper reporting, appropriate reporting. Sometimes we do inappropriate reporting, so that's also not required. Now we have to be very ethical while we are reporting the data of a particular sponsoring organization. We need to take a green signal from the organization. Can we make the data collected from the organization public or not? Because sometimes those data may be of very crucial business interest and their competitors may misuse it against them and may lead to a total closure of that particular organization. So it's important for us to get a green signal from the organization, and we need to make sure that if the sponsoring organization has certain restrictions, we should focus on adhering to those restrictions and avoiding the misuse of the information. So this is something which we need to understand. And then we need to also understand the various aspects pertaining to the same, and we'll talk about it. Processing and displaying the data, it's very important for us. How are we going to process and display the data? Now, processing and display of data is very, very important for all of us to understand that, yes, how we are going to process the data, how we are going to display the data. This makes all the difference. Now, while processing the data, it's important for us to use the right set of statistical tools and techniques. Secondly, using the right software to process the data. Thirdly, to focus on interpreting the results is very, very important. The software gives us the findings in form of the data, but we as researchers are required to explain the research findings. What is the research finding? What is the meaning of this data? What is the error? What is the standard error? What it means and how it can be used in our day-to-day life as well as in our corporate life. So processing and displaying data, I'm sure we can display it in form of text, in form of tables, in form of graphs, bar graphs, line graphs, pie charts, so many other charts, cluster charts, and so on. In case of quantitative studies, we do editing of the data or the coding of the data. Maybe male is 1 and female is 2. So we need to make sure. Sometimes the blunder which gets done is the figure of 1 and 2 gets, uska bhi wo mean mode median nikalte hain, and that becomes a disaster. So we need to understand that we do not do any statistical analysis with the coded data. Suppose male and female, male is 1 and female is 2. If we start conducting the average, it becomes a very misleading and spurious research outcome. So we need to make sure that we are very, very sincere about the way we are using the data and the way we are coding it, processing it, and displaying it. Now, in case of qualitative studies, the content analysis is to be done. Well, recently we were conducting a research pertaining to risk dimension of the various corporates which are listed on New York Stock Exchange. So what we did, we collected their annual financial statement. And after collecting the annual financial statement, we counted how many times the word risk was figuring in their annual financial statement to analyze the overall risk perception, risk analysis, and risk management of the company, how they are managing the risk. So that's something which is very, very important. And it gives a deep insight about the company. So counting the total number of words, how many times risk. So the companies which were more professionally managed in terms of their risk management, they analyzed all kinds of risk: business risk, financial risk, customer risk, production risk, so many other risk. And so we could get a fair idea about the risk analytics, risk assessment of these companies on the basis of qualitative research findings. So it's important for us to understand. Then while we are writing the research report or thesis, it's important for us to develop a proper outline. Well, in the Word file, when I was trying to show you how to have a properly indexed research report, I was just writing the outline of the research, and then later on inside we start filling the content. Then we write about the variable about which we have conducted the research. And it's very important for us to mention the references and bibliography, which helps us in avoiding any claim of plagiarism. It's important for all of us as researchers to understand the referencing style which we are going to adopt in the process of writing a research paper or a thesis. So if we are going to use a particular referencing style, maybe a Harvard referencing style you're going to use, fine enough. We should have consistent referencing on the same basis. Now, we also talk about finer aspects of data collection. What are the various finer aspects of data collection? Now, we use various web-based surveys like forms.google.com, SurveyMonkey, Sql Survey, Qualtrics, Survey Planet, Typeform, Survey Gizmo, Lime Survey, and so on. And there are many others. So these are the various web-based surveys which we use. We have some statistical softwares of data analysis: Excel, SPSS, Systat, StatCrunch, Amos. Amos is normally meant for structural equation modeling, wherein we can establish cause and effect relationship, and also the strength of relationship and the direction of relationship between the causal and causative factors and variables. Then we have SAS, we have R, we have MATLAB. Now, we also focus on various associated aspects pertaining to the research in terms of online research, which is the buzzword in modern times. Excuse me. So when we are conducting online research, we have some online research methods and techniques. So we have some online focus group. We conduct online interview. We conduct online qualitative research. The research which I was talking about, which we were conducting, all the annual reports of the companies listed in New York Stock Exchange was available on the server, which was in searchable format. So because it was in searchable format, we could conduct qualitative research and could conduct risk management practices and the impact of risk management practices on their overall analysis of risk and management of risk. So online text analysis, it's important for us. So all the social media, I'm sure we see all the customers which are writing positive and negative comments. So if we do the text analysis, we can see how many times they have written, I am use the word satisfied, dissatisfied, angry. So there are a lot of words, positive and negative. We can analyze the text and get a feel and pulse of the quality of the products and services being offered. We can also do social network analysis by conducting online research and get a fair idea about the products, services, and the quality of overall products and services being offered to the customers and to the clients. I'm sorry, this has just hung. I'll reshare it again. Excuse me. Okay. Now, online research, we need to really understand the customer satisfaction research. It's very important for us to know about the customer satisfaction research because they are the ones who are going to keep us in business or throw us out of the business. So I'm sure we all know only 5% of the companies stay in business beyond 5 years. So more than 90% companies die down in the first 5 years of their existence. And it's very important for us to have consistent satisfaction research of the customers. We have to conduct on research pertaining to new products. We have to understand the brand loyalty of the customers. And especially when it comes to organization, we need to understand the employee engagement and employee satisfaction. We need to understand data analytics and Google Analytics. Well, Google Analytics these days gives deep insights about the people visiting our website. Let me share with you some research findings of some data. Now, when we were looking at the Google Analytics data, there are two types of data available. One is Google Analytics data, and the other one is Google Search Console. So Google gives us two facilities, Google Analytics and Google Search Console. So when we look at the overall dashboard of Google Analytics, it gives us insight as to how many visitors from different city, their timings, what time they visited, which country, which city, which pages they visited, which was the page which they entered, which was the page they went out, what was the total time spent on our website, did they purchase any product online or not, was their stay positive or it was just a cursory visit, did they fill any online form in case of a university or college. So the insight given by Google Analytics is amazing. So for us as researchers, it's important for us to understand how we are going to leverage it. So especially for all of you, those who really wish to do research, I would invite all of you to conduct deep-rooted research pertaining to the organization you're working for by getting access to the Google Analytics data and Google Search Console data. You'll get to know which program of your university is more in demand, which city most of the visitors coming to your website. You will be surprised to know out of in a month there were around 80,000 visits to the website of our university, out of which around 85% of the visits were from a mobile handset. And then we decided to make sure that we make the website more and more mobile friendly than computer or laptop friendly. So the online research in business is going to help us a lot, and all of us, we need to really focus on conducting online research, and we need to avoid giving open-ended questions. It's better to give close-ended questions. Would you like to buy Nescafe at a price of 40 rupees? The answer is yes or no. So if we give close-ended questions, we are able to analyze it better in comparison to the open-ended question. And we need to give sufficient time to the respondents to respond to the questionnaire. It's like sometimes we have given 30 questions or 20 questions and just give 5 minutes or 10 minutes. So we need to give sufficient time to the respondents vis-a-vis the length of the question, seriousness of the question, and intensity of the question. We need to keep the survey precise, and the language should be simple and self-explanatory so that there's no doubt in the mind of the readers, I mean the customers and the clients or the consultants. Now, the advantages is when we are conducting online research, we are having access to the data from all over the world. More than 200 countries we can get data, and we can do comparative analysis, country-wise, continent-wise, gender-wise, country-wise, gender-wise, continent-wise, gender-wise. So we get global data access. And we have minimum investment of time and resources because we float the questionnaires online and we get the responses from different parts of the world, and we get a centralized accumulation of facts and figures, and then it helps us in having a capable tool for collecting information. So it helps us in terms of understanding, and we can make the process of online survey slightly easier. We can generate a QR code because sometimes a long link becomes confusing. You know, if it is a clickable link, it's easy, or else we can send a survey link, or we can send an email questionnaire, or we can send a QR code, or we can integrate it in our website. So we have multiple modes of conducting online survey, and we can do qualitative or quantitative market research. So when we do research, it's important to conduct market research. And these days, politicians are going for poll research or exit poll to understand who will be the winning party, who will be the winning candidate, which policies are liked by the people, which policies are disliked by the people, what should be the content mentioned in their overall manifesto. So the political parties are using research methodology to a phenomenal extent to understand the winnability of the candidate so that they can give ticket only to those candidates who have high probability of winning by conducting intensive poll-bound research in the respective constituencies of Vidhan Sabha and Lok Sabha. So it's important for us to understand. Similarly, in case of market research, it's important to understand the overall market research of the various customers and the clients to get qualitative and quantitative feedback about the quality of the products and services. So this is something about how we can conduct the online research, especially I'm sure we talked about defining the research problem, finding answers to questions, current questions, or a perceived question likely to be coming up in the future. So that's something which is important. We need to understand how to define the research problem sincerely. We have to be very, very clear about introducing the importance of the topic in the research problem. How to formulate research problem is important. We have to position the problem in appropriate context, provide a framework to analyze and report the results. And the research problem should be specific, measurable, attainable, realistic, and time-bound. So if our research problem is well defined, we are likely to get better result, better response from the customers, from the respondents, and from the other researchers community. Now, this is how the flow chart goes all about. Initially in the introduction, we mentioned the research question and the summary of the proposal. Then in the literature review, we talk about what has been the various research which has already been conducted in this similar topics in the past. What has been the theoretical approach? Then what has been the methodology, how we are going to conduct the research, what will be the research design, what will be the research procedures, what will be the kind of data which we are going to collect, what will be the procedure which we are going to collect, what will be our sample size, how are we going to select them, how are we going to access them, whether they are certain human subjects, are we going to get the ethics committee approval or not, we have to follow our ethics statement, what is the overall cost and funding which is likely to be involved in the process of conducting the research. So I think there's invisibility of the screen. Thank you for informing. Thank you for informing. So this is how it is in terms of literature review, methodology, the research design, then the preliminary data, how we are going to collect the preliminary data and do the initial pre-testing.
I think the screen is not visible, sir. The slide online research methods and techniques.
Okay, just a moment.
Yeah, this one slide is visible.
Is it visible research proposal slide?
No, sir.
Now?
No, sir. Online research methods and techniques. Online.
Just a moment. I think there is some issue.
This slide is visible.
Now
now it's visible, sir.
Okay, sorry. This was something. Technology has its own share of glitches. So statement of limitations, we need to see. We talked about introduction, literature review, the methodology part of it, the selection and access of the sample. And if we are dealing with human subjects, we need to have ethics committee approval. We need to adhere to our ethics statement. And we need to know the cost and funding dimension of our research proposal. Then what are the preliminary data we are going to collect? And we need to have the initial preliminary findings and to see whether the value of Cronbach's alpha is coming between 0.5 and 1 and so on. And last but not the least, we need to also focus on stating our limitations, that, well, this research is being done with the limitation of time and cost because we do not have unlimited money and unlimited time. So time and money are the two fundamental constraints and limitations. And apart from this, there are some other limitations which must be mentioned specifically and explicitly in the research proposal and the research report as well. So we can use the Google BI dashboards. I'm sure you can go to Power BI. You can Google for Power BI, create free login using your Gmail ID and start using how you can do better data visualizations using Power Business Intelligence offered by Microsoft Business Intelligence. You have a lot of apps there which help you in terms of conducting some real-time data which is connected to real-time sources. Like data is connected to World Health Organization, a lot of stock exchanges, data which is connected to Google Analytics. So you can get the research findings on a ready-made. So all that you need to do is to incorporate the same in your research report and make very meaningful, impressive, effective, and highly publishable material, especially when it comes to international research publications. So you have one sample that is Power BI GA by Kerbal. Is GA stands for Google Analytics. So Google Analytics gives you the insight of the website in terms of which terms have been used maximum, how many searches, where did they start their search, where did they land, which web page did they land. They also talk about search engine optimization, various types of errors on the website, how the search, which text is missing, what are the various errors, hyperlinking errors, and so on, how the search refinements can be done, what is the average time spent on the website after conducting the research, and so on and so forth. So it's important for us to understand what has been the average number of page views after search. Similarly, we have a lot of new generation tools and techniques pertaining to data storage, data management, data processing, and data reporting. So if we are able to understand these new generation tools and techniques of data storage, which is in form of data storage, data ingestion in form of Azure Event Hubs, Database Engine, Azure Blob Storage, Azure Cosmos DB, Azure Data Lake Storage, Azure Synapse Analytics. Then for data integration with SQL Server. SQL Server stands for Structured Query Language, which is one of the databases. We can store the various databases. And after 2014, the SQL has some advanced features of data quality and aspects. So people who are able to deal with SQL are able to analyze data available in the central server directly and publish high quality research papers, especially from corporates who allow their data, who share their data and sponsor the research findings. Azure Integration Services, Azure Data Factory, Azure Data Catalog, Master Data Services, Data Quality Services. This is what I was talking about in data in SQL Server. This is an advanced feature wherein you can deal with improving the quality of data and get better quality results after data analytics. Then we talk about data processing. So SQL Server has made advanced analysis services for data processing, Azure Databricks, Azure Analysis Services, Analysis Data Explorer, Azure Stream Analysis, Azure HD Insight, and Azure Data Lake Analytics. So these are advanced data management and data processing facilities available with some of the latest softwares available in India and abroad, which can help us in making our research more acknowledgeable, more trustworthy, more reliable. I remember SS Modi Sahab was talking about the aim and objective of Inspira Research Association to make sure that we publish more and more reliable research findings. And these are the latest tools and techniques which can be used. Power BI is a reporting tool, Excel. SQL Server has advanced reporting services. So you can report the services from the database. Azure Data Share, Azure Machine Learning Service, Machine Learning Studio, R Server for HD Insight. So these are the latest data science capabilities which can help us in analyzing the data and produce world-class research papers. So this is something which is very important for us to understand. Now, I think I'll take some more slides and would like to conclude my slides in the next 5 minutes. Just a moment, please. I think there are some issues with the slides, so it's okay. I think I'll take up from here. I think slides are not visible. So I think with these words, I think I'll conclude my presentation. Thank you very much, all of you, for being a patient listener. We can take, we have another 5-10 minutes at our disposal. 8 minutes, we can take questions and answers. I think Ravikant Modi ji was getting restless. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, sir. Thank you so much for delivering very, very knowledgeable and effective presentation. and actually it's heavy rain here at Jaipur also.
Oh,
I
thank you.
already informed all the participants to bear with us because some technical error may occur anytime.
No, no. Till I am
So,
here, I would not let it happen.
but everything is going smoothly. So now invite participants to ask questions from Professor Rana Singh. Is there any questions? They can raise their hands.
I think there are a couple of more slides. I'll just run through. They can install the Power BI apps and leverage them. These are some of the Power BI apps. And they can focus on dealing more with dynamic data than static data. I have been motivating all my research scholars. So thank you very much.
Thank you. Yes, Linga Reddy ji, please, you can ask.
Sir, sir, very good evening, sir.
Good evening. Good evening.
Sir, a very wonderful flow of intellectual feast.
Thank you so much.
My concern is, sir, is this Microsoft Power BI or free software or some paid version?
It is free for you for initial couple of months. Later on, it is paid. So you can every time log in afresh and enjoy free version.
Okay, okay, sir. Because I wasn't heard about this. We are still wondering about SPSS and or something. These are within our mobile. Very
Yes.
wonderful.
Yes. Yes.
Thank you so much, sir.
Thanks a lot. Thank you so much. It's free for the researchers for initial few months.
Thank you, sir. Thank you.
Thanks a lot.
Thank you so much, Linga Reddy ji. Yeah, is there anyone else who wants to ask?
In chat, there are some questions, I feel. No, I think these are only thank you, sir.
They are thanking you, sir, for the very
thank you so much.
and excellence.
Oh, sir, I want to collect data on commodity market stakeholders to do sentimental analysis. Well, commodity market data is available from the stock exchange. They can access the server and get the direct data. Yes. Thank you, Aarti Chopra ma'am, for your positive views and thoughts. Cronbach alpha is mandatory. Yes, it is important. If the value is more than 0.5, it's considered to be more better for the researcher. How to create table content in Word? Okay, I think this is a question. I'll tell you. Yes, this how to create table content in Word. Initially, you need to start using in Word. In Word, you have to select. In Word, you have to select the heading 1, heading 2. You have to whatever heading you want in your index page, you have to select it as heading 1 or heading 2, and then later on go to references and click on insert content, and then it gets done. I hope I could address your question. Dr. Sai Prashant V has raised his hand.
Yes, Sai Prasad ji, please ask.
Sir, good evening, sir.
Good evening, sir, Dr. Sai.
Yes, sir. Recently, I have prepared a questionnaire on brand personality, sir.
Okay.
Based on the Acres model, sir.
Okay.
Do I require, based on the Acre 5-level satisfaction?
Okay.
Do I need to make another measurement of what I mean? It's on the automobile industry. The number of luxury cars purchased by the segment.
Okay.
Customer segment.
What is the exact title of your research?
That is what do you say? The brand personality of automobile industry in Visakhapatnam district.
Okay. Can we take this offline with your detailed one? Because probably I would like to understand the whole thought process of yours. We can take it offline. You have my number on the, it's 8800049885. We can take it at length at the end of it.
Yeah. Thank you, sir.
My pleasure.
Thank you, sir.
Yes, Dr. Ravi Modi ji.
Yes, sir. I think, sir, everyone is cleared with your presentation.
Thank you so very much.
There are no other questions. And the participants, you don't need to worry if you missed something, because I will share the recorded video very soon.
Yes.
And thank you so much, Professor Rana Singh, once again, sir.
Thank you so very much. There's a question from Bharat Raj to everyone. What would be ideal minimum and maximum sample size? Well, it depends on what is your population size. That will govern your sample size. So giving an abstract answer here is not very feasible. But yes, the larger the size of your population, you need to be keeping your sample more representative. And if the sample size is higher, it's always appreciable. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
Thanks a lot.
I request all the participants to please start their videos so that we can take some screenshots. And now I invite Professor Dr. Anil Mehta sir for delivering the vote of thanks. Senior Vice President, Inspira Research Association. Professor Mehta sir. Sir, please unmute, sir. Yes, sir.
Yeah, thank you, Dr. Ravi.
Thank you, sir.
My esteemed friend and learned speaker for today's session, Professor Honorable Rana sir, Vijay Wagh sir, respected Professor S.S. Modi sir, Dr. Ravi Kant, dear participants, Dr. Aarti Chopra, also our Joint Secretary of Inspira Research Association. At the outset, I would like to congratulate all the participants for taking keen interest in this 7 days workshop on research methodology. And I can tell you one thing, that perhaps in Northern India, to start this workshop, perhaps the best person that is available today is Professor Rana. He is masterpiece person as far as research methodology is concerned. In fact, Professor Rana has given a very, very solid start to this workshop. During his 8 steps to the research methodology, virtually he has given all the inputs which are required to carry research in a very systematic manner, right from the research design or problem statement, then data collection, sampling. And I really liked the last 5 minutes of his presentation, particularly on this Microsoft Power B1, because I'm quite sure that most of the participants might not be very much even aware about these modern research tools and data analytics, which is available from Microsoft and Google. Professor Rana has beautifully covered almost all the important dimensions of research methodology. And the program has been designed by Inspira Research Association in such a manner that in next 6 days, perhaps each aspect will be covered at length. It is rightly said that well begin, half done. So, in fact, Professor Rana has acted just like a opening batsman, like a Sachin Tendulkar, for this workshop. And it was very informative, and perhaps it must have increased the desire of all the learners here to learn more and more about the different aspects. I consider this session as more of an orientation, motivational session rather, along with the rich inputs that have been provided by Professor Rana. And certainly our new researchers, the young researchers will be able to learn many, many important dimensions during these 6 days. My urge to all my appeal to all the participants to take this workshop quite seriously And please sit with your notebook also. Of course, as Dr. Ravi has mentioned, that the entire workshop will be, in fact, streamed with that YouTube also. But still, I prefer the conventional method. And please take your brief notes during the workshop. And please do ask as many questions as possible. From the core of my heart, I am thankful to Professor Rana for this wonderful session that he has taken today. I'm thankful to Dr. Vijay Wagh, our collaborators from Mumbai, who has taken keen interest and collaborated with Inspira Research Association. And I'm quite sure that this collaboration will be quite fruitful and will go a long way in more and more in the form of more academic collaborations in the months to come. I'm thankful to the president of the Inspira Association, Professor S.S. Modi, for his blessings, for his keen interest in organizing programs. And Professor Modi has done a commendable work for the benefit of research scholars. Thank you. A deep sense of gratitude towards Professor S.S. Modi. And what I should say about the Secretary General of Inspira Research Association, Dr. Ravi Kant Modi, who is the backbone or pillar of the Research Association, this Inspira Research Association, who is working day and night on not only on one front, but on different fronts, whether it is publications, planning of programs, conducting the programs. Thank you, Dr. Ravi, for you are the moving spirit for the entire association. Thank you very much. Last but not least, I am thankful to each one of you for your gracious presence, your active participation, and I'm quite sure that these 7 days will be most inspiring and memorable for you. I would like to add one more thing, that perhaps in academic field, of course, teaching is important, but if you want to excel in your career, or those who have to join this teaching profession, unless you focus on your research, unless you do quality research, perhaps it would be very difficult to get good institution to work with. And similarly, in your career progression also, research will be extremely important. I am also thankful to other office bearers of our Inspira Research Association for taking keen interest in the activities of these academic activities. I'm thankful to our Joint Secretary, Dr. Aarti, also, who is this time, not only she is Joint Secretary, but this time she has joined this workshop as a participant also. So thank you, Dr. Aarti, for that. And thank you, everyone. And looking forward for quite exciting sessions from tomorrow onwards also. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Professor Mehta, sir, for your blessings. And I would like to thank once again Professor Rana Singh, sir, today's chief guest and resource person. I would also like to thank Dr. Manvinder Singh Pava, sir. He's also here. Our last day resource persons, Professor Manvinder Singh is also with us. Professor Anil Mehta, sir, once again, Dr. Aarti ma'am, Professor Ajay Singh, sir, Professor Malyadri, sir, Dhaval Mehta, sir. They all will be joined in the coming 6 days with us. And most importantly, all the participants, I would like to thank for the wonderful opening session of these 7 days online FDP on research methodology, art of writing thesis. So once again, I would like to thank all the team of the Inspira and team of Sheila Raheja, Mumbai. And I have already shared the link of assignment quiz in the chat box of Zoom and also on the WhatsApp group. So it is mandatory to submit by all the participants. So tomorrow we will meet at the same time at 4:30 on the topic Sampling Design and Statistical Tools by Dr. Ajay Kumar Chauhan. Thank you. Thank you so much. Good night.
Thank you so much. Thank you, everyone. Thanks